Hey guys, tonight we're staying up way past bedtime. And if you thought your creaking floors were just settling, you might want to think twice, because tonight, the house feels alive in ways you won't want to explain to anyone. You're standing in the kitchen, sunlight filtering weakly through dust-streaked windows, and somewhere in the distance, the faint hum of a refrigerator feels like it's whispering secrets you weren't meant to hear. That old root cellar, the one you promised yourself you'd never open again, sits beneath the corner of the floorboards, sealed for years, yet somehow the latch feels loose today, as if it's inviting you. You'll wish you never looked under that floorboard, believe me. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And while you're at it, post your current local time and one creepy thing in your room right now. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. It started with a faint vibration under your feet. You'd been reading the news on your tablet while the child, Elodie, played quietly in the living room, spinning her dolls into imaginary conversations that made you smile. For a moment, everything was ordinary. And then you noticed silence. Total silence, like the air itself had gone still. Her laughter had vanished, leaving only the faint scrape of her toy against the wooden floor. You called her name. No response. Your pulse quickens, fingers tightening around the edge of the counter. Experts still argue whether children's sense of hearing can detect preternatural phenomena, like some kind of acoustic imprint left behind by a presence. But in this farmhouse, you feel it. There's a low, almost liquid resonance, a vibration that seems to pull your gaze toward the corner of the room where the floorboards are warped. You kneel, your hand trembling as you lift the old wooden hatch. Damp air, the scent of soil and decay, hits you instantly. The cellar hasn't been opened in decades. Everything down there, dust-covered crates, old tools, remnants of canned vegetables, should be inert, lifeless. But a door at the back of the cellar catches your eye. It's newer than the surrounding wood, yet pitted and scarred, and etched with a jagged symbol that could be an eye or a spiral. Your stomach clenches as if it recognizes the mark from somewhere deep in your memory. Tacked to the door is a yellowed note, brittle at the edges, ink running slightly as if the paper itself were bleeding. The handwriting is sharp, deliberate. Follow alone. Don't touch the walls. If footsteps echo behind, move. They are not yours. Ignore voices calling your name. At the final gate, knock twice. When you find her, leave immediately. Don't look back. A chill curls around your spine, and you realize, with a pang of dread, that this isn't a prank. The farmhouse was isolated, the closest neighbor a mile down the dirt lane. Yet the warning feels alive, pulsing in the damp cellar air. You swallow, gripping the edge of the hatch for balance, and step down. The temperature drops sharply as you descend. Earthy, mineral-laden walls enclose you, rough to the touch, uneven like they were carved by hands long gone. You remind yourself not to touch the walls. You shouldn't. Your flashlight flickers. Shadows writhe like living things across the ceiling. Then you hear it. A soft, deliberate footstep behind you. Slow, echoing, impossible to locate. You keep moving, heart hammering, recalling the rule. If footsteps echo behind, move. They are not yours. You feel the weight of time stretching. The tunnel seems to extend further than it should, twisting unnaturally as though it has a mind of its own. Local lore suggests that abandoned farmhouses in this region sometimes hide hidden chambers, sealed by families to contain something. No one speaks about it openly, but wandering down old cellar tunnels, the stories go, can leave you disoriented for hours, even minutes later. Urban legend or not, the sense of unreality presses on you. Your daughter's faint giggle lingers in your mind, and a sinking, gnawing instinct tells you that the door isn't just wood and nails, it's a threshold. And crossing it could mean stepping into a world where normal rules no longer apply. You take a deep breath and push open the door. The cold, stone-lined passage beyond swallows you whole. Damp, claustrophobic, faintly luminescent moss clinging to the walls. The tunnel stretches forward, narrow and oppressive. You keep your hands at your sides, resisting the urge to touch the stone. Every instinct screams that you're alone, yet the echoes behind you continue. Footsteps, whisperings, maybe nothing at all. As you move forward, you notice the first anomalies. A slight curve where the floor should be straight, a subtle slope in the ceiling that wasn't there before. Your flashlight flickers, and for a moment you think you see movement at the corner of your vision, a childlike shape crouched against the wall. You glance forward, reminding yourself, ignore voices calling your name. It could be anything, a trick of the light, a fragment of your mind straining to reconcile fear and hope. Internet forums warn about this phenomenon, often called cellar phantom illusions, where the brain projects familiar faces in unfamiliar subterranean spaces. Some skeptics insist it's mere psychological suggestion, but you can feel the tangible dread pressing on your shoulders, the air thickening with a premonition you cannot shake. And yet, despite every rational thought, your heart hammers at the thought of Elodie being somewhere just out of reach. You keep walking, each step echoing off the wet stone. Time stretches. The cellar seems endless. A pair of doors appear ahead, one partially hidden behind crates. You feel the rules in your bones. Only one path forward, one choice, and every misstep could unravel the thin thread holding reality together. And behind it, somewhere in the darkness, your daughter waits. The tunnel swallows you as you step forward, the air thick with damp and the faint metallic scent of minerals. You try to steady your breathing, the uneven stone underfoot shifting with every step. The walls seem to pulse subtly, like a heartbeat you can't quite feel but can't ignore, and your flashlight flickers again, casting shadows that stretch and bend like living things. Somewhere behind you, the faint echo of footsteps continues, deliberate, slow, and just far enough away to make your skin crawl. You remind yourself, they are not yours. Keep moving. As you press on, the tunnel begins to twist, narrowing and curving in ways that defy logic. One moment it seems straight and familiar. The next, the walls lean in, angles impossible, as though reality itself is folding. You clutch your daughter's favorite stuffed rabbit tightly in your hand, its fabric cold and slightly damp, grounding you. Urban legend whispers in your mind. There are reports of folding tunnels in old farmhouses where explorers vanish, and even when they're found, time has passed differently. Experts still argue whether the mind perceives impossible geometry due to fear or if something else is reshaping the space. You don't care. All that matters is finding Elodie. A door emerges from the darkness, splintered, covered in scratches, as if claws or fingers had scraped against it. The symbol carved into the wood is jagged, chaotic, like a spiral that might have once been an eye. You hesitate, hand hovering over the handle. The rule you remember clearly, at the final gate, knock twice. But this isn't the final gate. Your pulse thunders in your ears as you push it open slowly. The room beyond is wider, the ceiling higher, but unervingly empty. A chill settles in your shoulders, settling into the marrow of your bones. You step inside. A low, rhythmic whisper drifts from the shadows. You can't make out the words at first, then you hear it. Your name. Not Elodie's, not anyone else's, just yours. The voice is soft, coaxing, gentle, almost intimate. Ignore voices calling your name. Your stomach knots, a shiver crawling up your spine. The shadows bend toward the sound. You focus forward, eyes locked on the far side of the room, and notice a second door, older, darker than the first, leaning slightly, as though it has been waiting for you for decades. Historical accounts of early New England homesteads suggest that many families buried secret root cellar expansions under their homes to hide valuables, or something darker. Some tales hint that these spaces were charged with energy, places where the living world bleeds into the spectral. You're not sure if you believe in spirits, but your gut says these stories were warnings, not folklore. You step toward the second door, the whisper fading, replaced by a faint rustling from the floorboards behind you. You glance forward and catch the hint of a figure crouched in the corner. Ragged clothes, thin and hunched over, long hair shadowing a face you can't see. It doesn't move at first, doesn't acknowledge you, but the air thickens and the shadows around it stretch unnaturally. You recall the rule, do not touch the walls. You keep your hands at your sides, every nerve taut. An online creepypasta recounts something similar. A tunnel beneath a farmhouse that shifts and folds, where explorers encounter humanoid shapes crouched silently, and even if you ignore them, they follow you, unseen, until the maze consumes your mind. The story ends with them breaking reality, stepping into your world. You try to shake it off. This is different. You are focused. You are determined. The figure remains, a silent observer, as you pass, keeping your gaze straight, heart hammering, footsteps slow but deliberate. The second door swings open with a low groan, revealing a corridor lined with smooth stone walls, colder, darker. You feel the temperature drop, the air viscous, like swimming through a liquid more than moving through air. You press on. The rules echo. At the final gate, knock twice. Ignore voices. Keep moving. A faint glow appears ahead, weak, flickering. You think for a moment it might be a lantern left behind. But as you approach, the shape of a child emerges, small, pale, frozen, standing perfectly still. Your chest tightens. You know it isn't Elodie. Something is wrong. The shape tilts its head toward you, silent, and for a second, your mind rebels. Your desire to call out is overwhelming. But the rule repeats in your thoughts like a drumbeat. Ignore voices calling your name. You keep moving, refusing to acknowledge the figure, moving past it into the next stretch of tunnel. The tunnel bends again, more sharply this time, and the air thickens with a scent both sweet and rotten, like decayed wildflowers pressed into soil for decades. You remember a warning from an old folklore collection. In certain enchanted tunnels, the walls carry memories, emotions, echoes of what was left behind, sometimes projecting it as forms to mislead the living. Your flashlight flickers, casting shadows that crawl like insects, and you resist the urge to turn. Your heartbeat is the only rhythm in this oppressive quiet. Ahead, the final gate looms, heavier than the others, carved with the same jagged eye symbol, radiating a sense of anticipation, almost sentient in its stillness. You glance at the stuffed rabbit in your hand. Its stitched eyes remind you of why you've come this far. Beyond this door, you tell yourself, is the path to her. But the tunnel seems to resist, stretching, bending, folding back on itself, as though testing your resolve. You grip the rabbit tighter, your knuckles white. Time feels like a flat line, stretching endlessly, yet somehow moving faster than your pulse. The rules had brought you this far, but they are no longer enough. You are no longer a follower. They are your instructions, but you are the navigator now. And through this oppressive, whispering darkness, one truth dominates all else. You will find Elodie, or you will be lost forever in the hollow path. You pause before the final gate, the wood warped and blackened, the jagged symbol seeming almost alive in the flicker of your flashlight. A cold draft leaks through the cracks around the frame, carrying a whisper of dirt, decay, and something floral yet rotten, like a memory of a garden long buried. You know the rules by heart now. Knock twice, leave immediately, ignore voices. But the tunnel feels different here. It pulses, like it's aware of your hesitation, and the air is heavy with anticipation, pressing against your chest with every breath. A faint scratching echoes from behind you, just a light scrape, almost like fingernails on stone. You remind yourself, do not respond, do not move unnecessarily. The legend of the hollow path comes back to you. Locals whisper of explorers who follow instructions perfectly, only to be led astray by something that mimics a loved one's voice. Experts still argue whether these sounds are neurological phenomena born of fear, or if some unseen intelligence actively manipulates reality. You grip Elodie's small hand, feeling her warmth, her heartbeat, a fragile tether to the real world. Your first knock is firm, echoing through the corridor. The second lands heavier, reverberating into the tunnel's unseen corners. For a long moment, nothing happens. Then, the door creaks open slowly, pulling you in with a sound like old bones sighing. The room beyond is smaller, tighter than expected, the walls smooth and cold as if carved from blackened marble. A single dim light hovers above a chair in the center. And there she is, Elodie, seated and trembling, her small body tied with coarse rope. Relief surges through you, but you temper it. You've seen the tricks this place can play. You drop to your knees, carefully untangling the ropes, your fingers fumbling with urgency and adrenaline. Her eyes flutter open, wide and terrified, and the first sound you hear is her voice, soft and quivering. "Daddy?" You scoop her into your arms, pulling her close. Her tiny body shakes against yours, cold, but real, warm in the way only a living child can be. Your own chest aches with relief, but the tunnel isn't finished with you. A low chuckle resonates from the shadows. Your heart stops. A figure steps forward, a clown, grotesque in its bright orange suit, face obscured in shadow, holding two red balloons that bob lazily. Its smile is impossibly wide, impossibly still at first, and then it tilts its head in amusement. You recall the last rule. When you find her, leave immediately. Don't look back. But the creature is fast. Not running exactly. It tumbles, flips, cartwheels toward you, laughter warping as it moves. Its orange costume flares with each movement, almost unnatural, as though it isn't constrained by gravity. You clutch Elodie tighter, ignoring the primal urge to fight or shout, and dash for the exit. The clown follows, its laughter rising, a crescendo of distorted glee that echoes through the stone. The hallway stretches impossibly, the walls leaning and twisting, trying to slow you, confuse you, swallow you. A local urban legend about abandoned circuses crosses your mind. Clowns that haunt certain grounds are said to be echoes of performers who vanished, trapped between dimensions, seeking new souls to mimic. Experts still debate whether these are human memories projected into fear or something older, something alive. You don't care. You run. The final door is ahead, the symbol etched into the wood glowing faintly. You swing it open, the cold tunnel air rushing past you like a lungful of ice, and you step through with Elodie pressed to your chest. For a moment, you believe. This is it, we're out. The light outside is soft but real, sunlight filtering through tall pines, leaves shimmering with life. You set Elodie down gently, her small fingers curling around yours. You take a deep breath, but something feels wrong. The air smells of pine and something metallic. The sky seems too static, too perfect. You glance at Elodie, and your stomach knots. Her eyes, they are not the same. Not warm, not bright. They are colder, reflecting something ancient and knowing. She tilts her head, her voice soft and familiar. "Daddy." But your gut screams. This is not her. The rules never mention this. Never warned about the shadows that can wear your loved ones' faces. Panic claws at your mind. You remember the doll, the anchor you dropped back in the tunnel. Without it, you realize you can't tell the real from the echo. You scramble back, racing through the unreal forest, dodging roots and uneven terrain, branches whipping your face. The echo follows, voice fading and coaxing. "Silly daddy, come back." You ignore it, feet pounding against the soft earth. You must find the real Elodie. The forest stretches endlessly, the unreal perfection of it pressing down. But then, in a clearing, almost hidden among unnaturally straight trees, you see it. A door, weathered, splintered, familiar. The symbol pulses faintly, beckoning. You run to it, hands shaking, and pull it open. The tunnel greets you, dark, oppressive, suffocating. But this time, it feels different. It recognizes you as no longer a follower. You are here to save your child, not obey instructions. You step through, gripping Elodie's stuffed rabbit like a talisman, and move through the familiar maze. The first rooms are empty, echoes of the figures and mirrors now gone. The air is colder still, but you don't hesitate. Every step is fueled by a singular focus. Find her. You pass the third room in a blur, ignoring the skeletal woman, ignoring the illusions, until you reach the room with the chair. The real Elodie is there, huddled, small, trembling, alive. Relief floods through you as you scoop her up, her heartbeat steady against yours. There are no more rules, no whispers, no shadows. Only the tunnel stretching behind you, twisting, pulsing in a futile attempt to contain you. You don't care. You run, faster than you ever have, tunnel walls bending, stone giving way to the faint scent of the outside. Finally, the entrance appears, light spilling in. You step through, pulling Elodie with you, and the world opens into clarity. Trees sway in a real wind, sunlight warms your shoulders, the forest alive and natural. You grab the door, the one that trapped the echoes and horrors behind it, and tear it from its frame. Splinters fly, the symbol pulsing one last time before dying. You scatter the pieces among the undergrowth, watching them vanish into the earth. Elodie clings to you, silent but alive, truly alive. The nightmare has ended, the hollow path closed. You take her hand, walking away from the clearing, from the tunnel, from the rules that nearly claimed you both. And as you leave, you don't look back, not once. The forest exhales around you, each step crunching against needles and dry leaves. The sunlight flickers between the treetops, dappling Elodie's face with gold. Her fingers curl around yours, small and real, her warmth grounding you like nothing else could. You'd thought the nightmare was over, but something about the air still feels off. The sky above glows a bit too uniformly, like a painting, too perfect to belong to the world you know. You push the thought away. Your priority is moving, leaving the clearing and putting distance between you and the horrors that lingered in the tunnel. As you walk, you notice that the trees seem arranged almost too neatly, forming corridors that funnel you forward. You're reminded of urban legends about forests that shift overnight, paths that lead travelers in circles until exhaustion or madness takes them. Experts still argue whether these are natural phenomena amplified by psychology or something sentient, watching. You tighten your grip on Elodie's hand and continue, ignoring the whisper of unease crawling along your spine. A rustle echoes nearby. You freeze, scanning the shadows between the trunks, but see nothing. Elodie glances up at you, her wide eyes flicking in all directions. You lower your voice. It's okay, just a squirrel. You know she won't be fooled by small lies for long, but it's better than panicking. A fact drifts to the back of your mind. Small children have sharper hearing than adults, tuned to nuances adults ignore. In this place, that gift is both blessing and curse. The forest opens briefly into a sunlit glade, and for a heartbeat, you consider setting Elodie down, letting her run, breathe, stretch. You don't. Something in your gut tells you to move, to remain vigilant. Then you spot it, a flash of movement among the trees. Not a deer, not a bird. A figure steps into the light, tall, thin, impossibly silent. The air chills instantly. You sense rather than see its face. It wears Elodie's features like a mask, perfect down to the curl of her hair. Its eyes are hollow, black voids, reflecting none of the warmth you know. The impostor tilts its head, smiling with a patience that chills your blood. The voice slips into your mind before you hear it aloud. Daddy. It's soft, coaxing, familiar enough to make your heart stutter. You swallow the urge to answer. You've learned better. This is not Elodie. The real one is clinging to your chest, her small body shaking. The echo, the shadow, waits, testing, probing. You remember the doll, the anchor that distinguished reality from illusion. The impostor doesn't have it. Without thinking, you sprint. The ground beneath your boots feels unnaturally springy, the forest bending subtly to your path, twisting the world behind you into disorientation. You hear whispers at the edges of your hearing, fragments of voices, some pleading, some mocking, all a cruel imitation of the safety you once knew. You glance down at Elodie. Her wide eyes are glued to you, trusting, alive, real. That alone steals your resolve. You can't afford hesitation, not now. Legs burning, lungs heaving. You finally glimpse another door, faintly pulsing, weathered wood nailed into the earth like a warning. It is unmistakably the same one from the clearing, yet somehow different. Older, more stubborn, more determined to remain. You skid to a stop in front of it, trembling, unsure whether to hope or fear what lies beyond. Every story of portals and thresholds you've read, creepy Reddit threads, folklore, obscure academic papers, flashes in your mind. Some portals lead only to loops, trapping those who enter forever. Experts still argue whether such places exist in the real world or if they're purely metaphorical fears given form. You don't have time to ponder. You open the door, stepping into the familiar cold, stone-walled tunnel. The air carries that same oppressive weight, damp and smelling of mold and forgotten centuries. Yet this time, there is no hesitation, no adherence to rules beyond one. Get Elodie home. You clutch the doll tighter in your free hand, keeping it close to her, and move forward, passing the first empty room and shattered mirror without pause. You do not falter. The skeletal dancer in the third room seems to sense your newfound purpose. She freezes mid-twirl, watching, but you do not slow. You step past her, hand over Elodie's eyes when necessary, ignoring the scent of decay and rot that seeks to distract you. Every figure, every trap, every echo you encountered before is now nothing more than an obstacle, powerless against your certainty. Finally, the chamber where you once found the fake Elodie looms ahead. You see the chair, empty, the floor dusted with traces of your previous visit. Relief surges, but you do not let your guard down. You kneel, gathering the doll once more, feeling its solid reassurance in your hand. Then, through the faintest crack of a distant wall, a sound reaches you, a soft, trembling cry. Daddy? Your heart lurches. This is not an echo. This is real. You sprint toward it, following the sound through the twisting, impossible passageways, until you reach the real Elodie, curled small against the wall, eyes wide but alive, recognition flooding her expression. You scoop her up, holding her tight, her warmth anchoring your soul to reality. Together, you retrace your steps, ignoring the shifting walls, ignoring the whispers, ignoring everything but the path that leads to the exit. The tunnel resists, twisting and lengthening, but determination overrides fear. At last, the light of the outside leaks in, soft and steady. You burst through the door, Elodie in your arms, and the forest welcomes you. Not an illusion, not a trap, but real. Sunlight dapples through leaves, wind stirs the branches, the world smells of pine and earth, alive and whole. You set Elodie down gently, taking a deep breath. She looks at you, eyes bright, real, human. You glance back at the door, symbol faded, splintered, and with every ounce of strength, you tear it free, scattering the pieces into the forest. No more thresholds, no more echoes. You're done. You take her hand, and together, you leave the clearing, leaving behind the tunnel, leaving behind the shadows, leaving behind the nightmarish rules. The forest stretches ahead, endless, but safe. For now, the nightmare is over. The forest around you hums with life you haven't noticed before. Birds chatter high in the canopy, wind stirs the leaves with a soft sigh, and the sun warms the dampness from the earth. Elodie clings to your side, tiny fingers gripping yours as if she fears letting go, even for a second. Every step you take feels lighter, though your chest still pounds from the terror that has shadowed you for hours, or perhaps days. Time is slippery in places like the tunnels you've just escaped. You keep glancing over your shoulder, half expecting another apparition, another shadow wearing your daughter's face. But the clearing remains empty, peaceful, almost impossibly serene. You remind yourself of something you read recently. Children are capable of sensing danger far beyond adult perception. Their instincts are tuned to subtle cues, sounds, vibrations, even the faintest smell of fear that most adults ignore. You look at Elodie's eyes, alive and human, and realize that she had known this too. Her silent guidance through the rooms, her subtle shakes of the head when temptation or horror sought to claim her attention. It was all real. You've been saved as much by her as by your own stubborn determination. Experts still argue whether children can unconsciously navigate supernatural threats. or if what they sense is simply amplified intuition. Either way, you're grateful for it now. The forest seems to stretch further than it should. Trees rise taller, roots twist into near impossible knots, shadows bend in ways that make your stomach churn. You can feel the residual weight of the tunnels clinging to the air, lingering like a fog refusing to dissipate. Something about the sunlight seems unnatural, yet reassuring, like a pale imitation of reality that your mind desperately wants to believe. You let Elodie lead you, her small hand guiding you past gnarled roots and hidden dips in the ground, toward what you hope is the true exit. A rustle from above makes you tense. You spot a black crow perched silently on a high branch, watching, its beady eyes reflecting the sunlight. Urban legends claim that crows are messengers in liminal spaces, warning travelers of unseen threats. You shiver, knowing the crow is a witness, not a participant, but its presence pulls a tiny thrill of unease through you. Experts still argue whether birds truly sense human danger or if these stories are simply projections of fear. You glance at Elodie, who watches it with quiet fascination, oblivious to its symbolic weight. You round a bend and see the final stretch of the forest, a narrow path that slopes upward toward a distant hill. The sun shines stronger here, and the air carries the scent of pine and moss, real, tangible, untainted by tunnels or echoes. You pick up your pace, feeling the pulse of adrenaline in your veins, the reality of the world reclaiming you. You allow yourself a small, relieved smile as Elodie hums softly, her voice a real, human sound, unbroken by deception. As you crest the hill, you finally see it. The edge of the forest gives way to a small, winding road. Beyond it, familiar rooftops, cars, and the promise of civilization. You keep Elodie close, but the impulse to run toward the road is irresistible. You step onto the asphalt, the sound of tires on gravel, distant chatter, and the hum of life washing over you. This is real. This is home. The door is gone. The tunnels are raced or hidden, and the echo that wore your daughter's face cannot follow you into the waking world. You kneel beside Elodie one last time, brushing a strand of hair from her face. She smiles up at you, radiant, human, complete. "We're safe," you whisper. Her grip tightens briefly, then relaxes. You know she feels the same relief, even if she cannot articulate it. You let the tension in your body dissolve slowly, like exhaling after holding your breath too long. In your mind, you replay the rules, the rooms, the figures, the illusions. You realize that every step, every hesitation, every decision had led to this exact moment. You had followed some, defied others, and still reached the outcome you fought for. You glance down at the doll in your hands, now a symbol rather than a tool, a connection to what had been and a bridge to what is. It is yours to keep, a reminder of the peril you survived and the bond that guided you through the darkness. You rise, Elodie at your side, and walk down the road. The forest stretches behind you, quiet, immense, waiting, but you do not look back. You focus on the warmth of the sun, the solidness of the earth beneath your feet, and the sound of life continuing around you. The nightmare exists no longer, not for now, not for the two of you. You feel the weight of every shadow you left behind, the echo of every voice, the lingering pulse of fear, but it is behind you. In front, there is clarity, light, safety, and the certainty that this night, these hours, will remain a memory tethered by survival, love, and courage. Elodie walks beside you, and for the first time in what feels like forever, she is unafraid. She is yours. You are hers. And you are free. The sun continues its steady climb, warming your shoulders and washing the world in gold. You walk slowly, letting your legs loosen after the relentless tension of the tunnels and shadows. Elodie hums softly, each note a tether to reality, each sound a proof that the world you've returned to is intact and alive. You breathe deeply, inhaling the scent of pine, damp earth, and warm sunlight, allowing the memories of darkness to recede into the corners of your mind. The forest looms behind you, silent now, as if acknowledging your passage. Its trees no longer threaten, they merely stand as witnesses. You consider the tunnels, the rules, the echoes, and the imposters, realizing that survival was not just luck, it was instinct, perseverance, and trust in the small, living guides beside you. Elodie's hand in yours reminds you that connection is stronger than fear, that love and attention anchor us when the world bends, twists, or imitates what we hold dear. Even as the memory of the shadow that wore her face lingers, it softens with distance. The nightmare